It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Marquardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. Hello there, and welcome to another Fort Worth Musical Moments. Brent Adams along with Steve Marquardt. And Steve, I'm excited to bring in one of the best true country vocalists around today. He may not be a household name like Haggard or Jones, but you can bet that many of the legends in this business know who he is and have the utmost respect for him.
That's right. That's right. Once in a blue moon, you stumble upon somebody that and your paths intersect. And we were lucky enough to snag this artist and get him on our label. And he adds so much to the label and got a lot to talk about because he's done a lot of things. I said in our promo the other day that I thought he's got his start performing when he was 5, but I was wrong about that. That was a talent show that he was in, so he started before that. So, my gosh. But anyway, we want to bring our special guest in. His name is Brian Moon. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here.
So at age 5, you were already a seasoned veteran, huh?
Well, yeah, I reckon it was my first payday. I made $5 in that singing contest, and $5 back then when I was 5 was like probably $500 today.
Wow.
Absolutely. You could buy at least one album with that. So,
well, probably 2.
Yeah.
So do you remember what the song was?
I do. It was Please Release Me, Let Me Go.
Nice.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
So did you win the contest?
I did. I won first prize. I won $5, and I could remember there was one of the judges was trying to call me over, and he had $5 in his hand. He wanted to tip me $5, and I wouldn't go over because I was always brought up, do not take money from strangers.
Yeah.
So after my dad explained, well, he just wanted to tip you, son. My loss. I could have bought 4 albums.
Right. Well, I tell you what, if you would have had YouTube or TikTok back then, you may have made a lot more than $5 off that performance.
That could be. One will never know now.
Well, it is what it is here. But before we get deep into the conversation, I wanted to set the table today by sharing a song here. And this is one of Brian's top. You top the charts with this song, is I guess what I'm trying to say here, if I can get the words out. This one is One Heartache Left to Go. Tell us about this song.
That's a song written by my sister and her late husband. He was great too. He was a heck of a songwriter. Mike Bruce and my sister Sandy wrote this song. It's called One Heartache Left to Go. And it did go #1 for us on the top 20 independent country music charts this year.
Well, let's share this one so people can get a sense if they're unfamiliar with Brian. Then we'll come back and unpack his career here because there's a whole lot to talk about.
I've been in love at least 1,000 times. I've been hurt 'cause I'm the hurting kind. I need you and I cannot let you go. My future is uncertain and I only have one heartache left to go. One heartache, 2 people. Someone has to fall, but when the game's all over, winner take it all. And if I cry, don't stop me, 'cause in love some tears must fall. My future is uncertain, and I only have one heartache left to go. The day that I first found your love, I knew you're the one who'd break my heart in two. Our love's so real, you should really know. future is uncertain, and I only have one heartache left to go. One heartache, two people, someone has to fall. But when the game's all over, winner take it all. And if I cry, don't stop me, 'cause in love some tears must fall. My future is uncertain, and I only have one heartache left to go. So if I cry, don't stop me, 'cause in love some tears must fall. My future is uncertain, and I only have one heartache left to go. Yeah, my future is uncertain, and I only have one heartache left to go.
And when you start out and finish with steel like that, you know you got a certified banger on your hands there.
Steel and a 4x4.
Man, great stuff there. As we mentioned, you hail from Canada, the country that also gave us Hank Snow, Anne Murray, Terry Clark, and Shania Twain. Tell us a bit about growing up there and how it shaped your country music influences.
Well, I come from a musical background family, and it's been something that's been in me all my life is music. At a very young age, I hit the road in the early 80s and started touring Canada. And we went from all over Ontario, Western Canada, the East Coast of Canada, which eventually led me to moving to Nashville. I was down there for 14 years, playing, performing, recording, meeting people, singing, doing what I love. And I still love it. It's in my blood.
So you moved to Nashville and you still love country music.
Yeah, I still love country music. Well, there is still some there. Well, there was when I was.
It didn't beat it out of you.
We say this all the time, Brian, but the country music's still in Tennessee, but a lot of it moved. The real stuff moved from Nashville to Clarksville.
I hear that. Did you say Clarksville?
There you go.
Here you go, Kurt.
I love it. Proudly wearing the colors.
Yes, sir.
So part of your history, you're a direct descendant of the Mighty Mohawks band, which had some chart success in Canada in the 1960s and also appeared at the World's Fair in Montreal in 1967. If you could school us on the Mighty Mohawks.
The Mighty Mohawks. Well, two of them were my uncles. So there was Slim Martin, and the one in the round picture there, that's Wally Moon. And the funny thing is, we're Mi'kmaq Indians from the East Coast, so half of the Mighty Mohawks were Mi'kmaq. Yes, and they did play at the World Fair in 1967. They had success in the eastern states, the northeastern states, Vermont, Connecticut. They wanted to do some stuff overseas. The leader of the band was George Hill. Now, he would always complain about my two uncles because one of them would not go on a boat. The other one would not get on a plane, so they couldn't do anything abroad.
You were telling us a fascinating story before we got on here about some of the promotional tactics that they use to get people engaged with the music and with the band.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, as you've seen with the part of the regalia was the Mohawk haircut. So if you were a fan of the Mohawks and agreed to get your haircut on the stage, you would actually get paid. They would had a stage set up where my uncle was the one who was doing the trimmings. He would give them the Mohawk haircut, and they got paid and had their hair styled as such. I believe it was $5 back then.
So your uncle cut the hair on stage?
My uncle cut the hair right on the stage. He was the barber.
Was he a big drinker?
Well, that's why some of them had those crooked lines.
Well, Brent, I've been thinking, you and I mean, we've talked about how do we further independent music? How do I further, my own career as an independent artist? Of course, I'm so busy now with just helping other artists, and as a whole bringing this whole community along. But I realized one of the things that I missed out on, if I'd have rocked that hairdo a long time ago, I mean, who knows where I'd be today.
Well, as they say, it's never too late.
If you want, we can revive it, and you can be my first two. I'll take my uncle's place and gladly give you the buzz.
Right, hold your hand. Let me see how steady your hand is.
What's that $5 in today's
But I cut
dollars?
with this one. And $5 will still stand.
The things we do in the name of show business, right?
I tell you what.
I might be down for it.
All right, Brent, you heard it.
We have our first customer.
I just need to find out what that $5 is in today's dollars, because I don't think I'd do it for just $5.
And more important than that, you need to know whether it's Canadian or American.
Good point. I hadn't thought of that, but yes, absolutely.
And don't get it cut on the Canadian side, because then U.S. Customs won't let you back in.
We got some things to think through here. Well, you kind of you watched them. What did you take from them that helped you as you kind of went through the 70s and really launched your career?
What I can remember going to see them, we could go in on Sunday afternoons. We were, as kids, we were allowed to go in and see my uncles perform. And what I got from them back then, they literally played 7 nights a week and had bus tours every night coming in. They were entertaining. The owner had a garage lift floor put on the stage where they could disappear right into the ceiling. Behind the stage, he had a teepee where they had all their props. Wow. So if they were doing prison songs, bars would come down. They had all kinds of outfits. Entertaining. My uncle Wally Moon Barn was the stage clown. You never knew what he was going to do right up till the end of his career, rest his soul now. But he was just an entertainer to the end.
That's a pretty elaborate setup for those days.
It was, and it was world. They played at a place in Chateauguay, I believe it was called the Riverview Hotel, which is now apartments, but it was renowned. People came from the United States, all over the provinces, different provinces in Canada on bus tours, and that it was pretty cool.
And in 1977, you formed the Canadian Country Classics, and then later, 1979, Rare Breed. What was it like trying to pull together guys and really get folks who shared your vision as far as where you wanted to take this thing?
Well, the Canadian Country Classics, I was brought into. That was a group after the Mohawks disbanded. My uncle Wally Moon was playing with them with another gentleman, Gordy Wright, and their bass player was a rodeo guy. He was off to do the rodeo, Larry Wall. So they brought me in. We played for 5 years, and then we went onto the road. We started Rare Breed Country, and the rest is history. We played a bit locally, but most of it was all on the road, traveling and keeping the gas companies in business. Gas companies and restaurants.
So was it one of those things where the more you did, the more you wanted to do?
It doesn't go away. I always tell people music is, in my opinion, is the strongest drug in the world. There is no cure for it. Once you're infected with this, it's a lifer. And I love what I do. I would never change anything, never want to.
Well, you only have to speak one language. Your music is a universal language. So
yes, sir. It is. And everybody understands it.
That's right.
So when you moved to Nashville, that was the 90s, early 90s. Is that right?
Yeah, I was around there. I was under the wing of Skeeter Dodd. Skeeter Dodd was he first came up to Canada. I was doing a TV show. We had a TV show called with my first wife called Brian and Marion Show, which we filmed, and we got the pilots done. And everybody was booked to be on it, but then it went under because we had a big crisis up here. I don't know if you heard about it down south. It was called the Oka crisis, where everything was shot up, and they called the army in on us. But let's not get political, but everything just shut up, and the show it didn't happen. So that was the end of my TV career.
So when you were in Nashville here, we mentioned Hank Snow earlier. Did you cross paths with him at all?
I did on the Opry, backstage on the Opry. I had the opportunity of spending a lot of time backstage in the Opry. Probably some of the best music I remember hearing on the Opry was in Mr. Acuff's dressing room.
Uh,
The greatest jams in the world happen in there. I've met so many people, little Jimmy Dickens, Billy Walker, Jack Green. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on.
I would imagine, we talk a lot about what they're calling country music today, and some of the things that might see on the Grand Ole Opry today, and you wonder how Mr. and I say it with reverence to Mr. Acuff, wherever he may be, is he rolling over?
I know it.
It's a sign of the times. Things change, and but one thing that is important, I think, for all of us purists, is that we preserve and maintain, real traditional country music, and no matter what anyone else is doing.
Oh, I hear you. That's my love, and I'm doing my part. I'm hoping I'm doing my part, keeping it traditional, because it's what I was weaned on, what I believe in, what I love. I love all kinds of music, but I love what I do the best.
So were you at the old Ryman then, in the green room back there? Or was that when?
Well, this one, the new one, before the flood.
Yeah, right. When did they move from the old to the new? I don't remember that.
1973.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate that. I got to go backstage. I got to spend a whole afternoon there. They cleared the whole place out because we were interviewing Vince Gill for my brother's documentary film. So we had the whole place to ourselves. And I just remember walking through those back rooms and into those dressing rooms, green rooms, whatever you want to call them, and just stopping and trying to catch the vibe of perhaps any ghosts that might be moving around. And it was a pretty goosebump worthy moment. And at one point, Ranger Doug and some other guy, Joe Bob Barnhill, brought in a guitar that Merle Haggard had given to Eldon Shamblin. It was a big Gibson. I don't remember, his hollow body jazz guitar. And so at one point I put that thing on and walked out on the stage, just stood there. And I thought, maybe some of this juju will rub off on me. And I sit down and play my guitar. I thought, nah, it didn't work.
Looking for the Phantom of the Opera, huh? You mentioned Joe Bob Barnhill. I recorded with him in Nashville at Reflection Studios. Yeah, we had Hal Rugg on steel, and Judy Rodman did all of my backup harmonies. I mean, I never got it. I got the master somewhere, but we never put it out on anything.
Well, it's amazing. Yeah. So at one point, that guitar, Eldon Shamblin played it, and then somehow it ended up in Merle Haggard's hands, because Merle was real tight with those guys and did that, sat in on that For the Last Time icon, that landmark recording, which I think is kind of the if you're going to get one Western swing album, that's probably the one you want to get, right?
Yes,
besides mine, but
well,
but,
definitely.
And then somehow it ended up in Joe Bob's hands, but that was pretty cool to be able to just hold that guitar, but yeah,
the vibes.
But being around folks like, what was Roy Acuff like in person? Just
the funny thing, if I could tell a quick story, the first time I met Mr. Acuff, my manager Skeeter Dodd brought me into the dressing room. Of course, there was a jam going on, and he said to Mr. Acuff, he says, "Mr. Acuff, I want to introduce you to Brian Moon. He's an artist from Canada. He's a Native American. We're trying to get him a deal down here in Nashville." He said, "Would you mind if he stoops down and gets a picture taken with you?" And Mr. Acuff says, "Yes, I mind. I'm going to stand up for this one." And he stood up. My heart it went 4 times the size. I said, wow.
There is an album out that the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band put out when they brought in Roy Acuff, Maybelle Carter, all these people, and they did this whole traditional country thing, and they were obviously paying homage to those folks, and I've seen some interviews with some of the members of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. They said, here we were, a bunch of hippies, and and Roy Acuff walks in the studio. And they said it was just an amazing moment. We were all just like pinching ourselves. But there's a recording that's on that album, and it's called, I think the album's called Will the Circle Be Unbroken?
It's the 50th anniversary this year.
Yes. And so So there's one song, I think Roy, they launch into Precious Jewel, which is an old, Roy loved to sing those old songs that were, and it's funny because a lot of those songs were out during the Great Depression. And so, things were depressed enough. And yet he's doing songs like Wreck on the Highway and When That Great Ship Went Down, all these tragedy. I guess maybe those songs made you realize, hey, some people have it a lot worse than I do. I don't know. But they were, the way he delivered those songs with such raw emotion. But so they're launching into Precious Jewel, which is about a guy who loses his girlfriend. Young girl dies, and I don't even know if the song reveals how she dies. But anyway, so he's talking to the band. They're in the studio and they left the mic hot. And fortunately left this part in the album where he goes, "Okay, boys," he said. Now he goes, we're gonna I guess do a few takes on this thing. And he said, what I find when I'm recording a number is, he said, do it as well as you can on the first take, because you lose just a little bit of something every time you go back and redo it. He goes, so to hell with all the other takes. Let's get it right the first time. Let's go.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Truer words are never spoken. That's pretty much sums it up.
Well, you can't catch lightning in a bottle when it's rehearsed. You just got to catch the moment,
Yeah, that's it.
Don't you agree?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, through your connections in Nashville, you also found yourself on the stage of the legendary Midnight Jamboree, which is an exciting one for me here with our connections to the Jamboree. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm standing backstage. I'd never done them there with Connie and Dick Curlis. And so I says to Miss Connie, I says, how do we know when we go up? And she says, is this your first time? I says, yes, it is. She says, well, it says, you just need to be ready. He says, when Justin's ready, he's going to stick his head out and he's going to point at one of us and we go. I said, all right. So they went into a commercial. Sure enough, he points to me. And then I go and I'm getting ready to just come out of the commercial. And he says, now, Brian, I don't want you to be nervous. I don't even want you to think about the 5 million people listening on the radio. And I looked up and said, thank you, buddy.
And we should mention Connie being the great Connie Smith, who was on there with Dick Curlis that night. And you got up and belted out Tiger by the Tail.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this is one of the songs I recorded with Joe Bob Barnhill.
We just happen to have a clip of this. Leading the way was the great Justin Tubb here introducing it. And we're going to share it for you right now.
We have another special guest for you. This gentleman heads up a group called Rare Breed. And I think I read that he comes originally from Montreal. They now work out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And they come through us through an old friend of ours by the name of Skeeter Dodd. And we thank him for bringing these folks to our attention and having them on our Midnight Jamboree. Would y'all please make welcome from Canada, Mr. Brian Moon.
Doing the great Buck Owens proud there.
Well, thank you, man. I was just a little boy.
Brian, you missed out on the gold chains. You should have had some gold chains down.
The TCB ring, maybe.
There you go. No, that was great. That was great. We've got a few people chiming in here. Real quick, I just want to say a public hello to Larry O'Neill, who's kind of the mothership of this thing with Fort Worth Memories. Larry's a good friend and great guy, and he's really about all things Fort Worth. Have you spent much time in Fort Worth, Brian? Have you ever been? You've been to Fort Worth, I guess.
I've been to Houston. I've been to spent a little time in Austin, but I have family in Houston area, Old Spring.
You haven't been to Fort Worth?
I have not.
Then you hadn't been to Texas.
Well, I need to get there then.
You know, I will tell you this, and I honestly, I say this in all honesty, Fort Worth becoming the live music capital of the world pertaining to traditional country music. I'm telling you, there's a lot going on, and we're a big part of that too. And we want to have you down to Fort Worth soon, because we're going to be doing a whole concert series at National Hall, which is going to be our home base for live performance. It's a historic 100-year-old dance hall. We definitely want to have you come down and perform. But anyway, we can talk more about that later with Larry O'Neill, Peggy York, our good friend, faithful Peggy York. She tunes in every week. Let's see, we've got Kathy Jewell, who's a member of one of the artists on Clarksville Creative Sound label. She's also owns several radio stations. So she's a very successful businesswoman and a very successful country artist. And she's just releasing some new material that she just was in the studio with Kurt, putting a whole album together. She and Kurt sat down and co-wrote a bunch of songs, and I've gotten to hear a good chunk of them. And man, I can't wait to get that stuff out there. Kathy is a real talent and a wonderful person. So I want to say hi to Kathy. Sean Carson, is that a buddy of yours?
He has a radio show too. It's called Some Kind of Cool.
Okay.
It's a syndicated show. And yeah, I do know Sean.
And Billy Strong is an old friend of mine. He's was in Nashville for a good while, and then he got a real job. But he's a good friend. We're good friends with him and his wife Jennifer and their family. So hello, Billy. Edward Williams, our old buddy Edward Williams, is out there. So hey, Eddie. And Terry LeMaster, fellow Clarksville Creative Sound artist, really good bluegrass artist. You know Terry, right?
Yes, sir.
And
hey, Terry.
Yeah. So his song, Sunset Through the Pines, I believe is the name of it, is burning up the charts. And I was in the studio when he was recording that, and I knew that was going to be a big song. So anyway, wanted to shout out to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad to see we're not alone.
That's right.
Great group of people out there today watching. Well, going through Nashville, another of the connections that you made was with country music legend Leona Williams. Tell us about that.
Well, she's just a sweetheart, and she's such a talent. And I love recording with her, but I could just sit and listen to her stories for days. She's got story after story, and they just don't get old and they don't get boring. She's got a million songs just in her stories she tells. Well, we did do one recording, and we're fixing on doing another one in a couple of weeks. And that's all I'll say for now. I won't say what it is. We'll wait, and hopefully it has a big impact.
You know, Brian, we had Mackenzie McKetty on our show. She's one of our young, really talented artists who's out there doing a lot of live stuff, and she opened for Gene Watson not too long ago. She's not only a great singer, but a fiddle player. She does a lot of things with her brother, Austin McKetty. They're both just super talented musical family. But we were talking to her, I believe it was her, Brent, about her musical influences, and she mentioned Leona. Was that Mackenzie that said that, Brent?
Yeah, she did. And then it was actually Carrie Romero we were talking to when we had a pop-in from Leona, and that was the day that these guys recorded that song.
That's right. Y'all were in the studio that day, and I think somebody caught a bootleg. I iPhone video of part of that. I'm not sure.
And
Yeah.
I just happen to have that queued up right now, believe it or not. We can take a look at that, and then we can transition into listening to the song, which is the song Stranger, which was originally written and recorded by Merle Haggard and Leona Williams in 1982. And of course, Randy Travis and Tammy Wynette had it on a duets album in 1990, and that song was just lights out. Why did you guys choose that song?
Well, it's funny. The reason why we talked about her at the awards show when I was being inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I recorded that with my ex-wife in '88, and we started talking about it. I said, wouldn't that be funny if we record it now? And she said, well, we should. So we did.
Such a great soulful song here. We're going to share the behind the scenes, and then we'll get into the actual song here.
Held that home in your arms. We had nothing but good times as long as the sun shined, but we just couldn't weather the storm.
You came like a stranger, and I took you in, and you gave me some reasons to live. I gave the good times, and you gave the sunshine, till we ran out of good things to give. Now we are strangers down on our luck, and both in need of a friend. We promised each other too much to live up to, and now we're strangers again.
Before we roll this, something I wanted to talk about. I wish we had old Crash Ryle with us here, because something that stuck out to me when I was watching that video, and it's something you don't see very often anymore in recording, because everybody does everything in layers. So it's very rare that you get two people in not only the same vocal booth, but on the same mic to record that. And boy, just watching that's something special.
The funny part is when we were doing a ghost track for the musicians to play on, Leona wasn't there, so Kurt sang Leona's part. Somewhere he's got it in his archive. I've tried to get a copy of it.
Uh-oh, hit the button, Brian.
I can't imagine how he would be qualified to do that.
Oh, he's gonna hate you again. So if we can ever get that clip off, if he kept it and didn't hit the delete button, it would be something to have for.
Well, if he didn't before now, he may have just have. So
I want to say that was Kurt's idea to put that wig on. I did not tell him to do that. But anyway, we digress.
Well, just watching that clip as I was loading it in last night, I thought, man, boy, that's magic. Not only just to share a mic, but share a mic with Leona Williams. That's awesome stuff.
It's a lifetime opportunity, man. I mean, I'm proud to sing with her. I really am.
Oh, and that's just, I mean, that's right there, happening. And the vocals are so pure and so good. I mean, two real professionals are out there.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you,
man. Well, I'm going to share this right now here and let you hear the finished product.
First we were strangers down on our luck, and both in need of a friend. We promised each other too much to live up to, and now we're strangers again.
I came like a stranger and you took me in, and I felt at home in your arms. We had nothing but good times as long as the sun shined, but we just couldn't weather the storm.
You came like a stranger, and I took you in, and you gave me some reasons to live. I gave the good times, and you gave the sunshine, till we ran out of good things to give. Strangers down on our luck, and both in need of a friend. We promised each other too much to live up to, and now we're strangers again.
Beautiful. And pretty cool, Steve, to think that song was recorded and that photo taken just right after her appearance on Fort Worth Musical Moments.
Yeah,
Part of history.
Our slogan on our logo, which Brian is wearing, says "Where the magic happens." And Kurt called me after that session and said, that was one of those moments right there, one of those magical musical moments. So. And it sure shines through in that song. So congratulations, Brian.
Thank you very much. It was, again, I don't want to sound repetitious, but it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to record with that lady, and looking forward to doing it again.
We're looking forward to you doing it and getting that music out there, because it's so important that we put music out there like that to remind people what real country music is.
Well, I'm here for the team. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And shameless plug, if you want to hear the Randy Travis and Tammy Wynette version, make sure you head on over when we're done here to Rural Strong Radio, the 24/7 streaming radio station. That one pops up on there from time to time. Not only was it part of the Duets album that they did, but also on Randy's Greatest Hits album. So you can find that on there. And man, great song.
I'd like to report, too, just for posterity's sake, that Randy Travis is alive. There's been a lot of rumors about him dying, and and I know he had some health issues. He actually came to our Western Swing Festival a couple of years ago. His wife went to Baylor University and was good friends with my brother, and so he invited them, and they showed up. And he came for a particular portion of that show, and was supposed to be there an hour. And he stayed for 2 hours, and then he left, and then he came back. When they went to dinner, and he goes, "I want to go back," and he was confined to a wheelchair at that point. But I got to sit and visit with him, and we had a nice visit. And he could communicate, so we had a nice visit. We talked about a lot of things, including that movie he was in with, and we did a role as a juror in that movie, Rainmaker, with Matt Damon. It's a John Grisham story, and Randy Travis played a juror that they got riled up and ended up jumping out of the jury box and jumping on the attorney that was questioning him. And it was a pretty good, nice piece of physical acting. I said, "How many takes did you have to do that?" He held up his hands like 4 times or something like that. But anyway, it was neat just getting to sit with him and visit. So, but he lives in the Fort Worth area, so he's alive and well.
I'd say he's probably busier than you and I combined, because there isn't hardly a day that I pull up my Facebook feed and don't see a picture of him at some event with people. I mean, it's like every day. It's in Fort Worth, it's in Nashville, it's here, it's there. I mean, the guy is everywhere. And if there's any kind of significance to any country music event, he seems to find his way there, and is probably the most gracious person around in terms of taking pictures with folks and spending time with them, and sitting there and watching as people cover his music. So really neat to see.
His wife really makes sure that he's out there a lot. She's one of the driving forces of energy behind him today. And so I can't remember her name.
Her name is Mary.
Mary, yeah. Yep. So kudos to her, because she makes sure he's out there, and I'm sure she lifts him up, because I know he's got some challenges physically, but he doesn't let that slow him down. So that's great. Yeah. Anyway.
It's fun to watch, but we digress there. What else I wanted to talk about was the North American Country Music Association International Hall of Fame Songwriter of the Year inductee for 2020. Boy, what an honor.
Well, thank you. NACMA. That's what Kurt calls it. Right. NACMA, for easier term.
NACMA.
It's a mouthful.
That's where I first met with and talked with Leona, and of course Bobby G. Rice. I didn't bring a guitar up, so Bobby was kind enough to lend me his guitar to do. I did do some singing at the show also. It was an honor. A great bunch of people. I was there last year as a celebrity judge with Ronnie Dale and Bobby G. We're going to be back again next year doing the celebrity judge. They labeled us the Nashville Rat Pack.
Cool.
You'll take that, huh?
Oh, we will. See, it's funny, none of us live in Nashville.
So you're known for your vocals, but tell us about the songwriting side.
Well, it's I write as much as I can. I do some co-writing. It's not my forte. I'm more of a singer entertainer, but as much as I can put any input, or I like to be involved with it. I had my first song that went number one on the Top 20 Independent was a song I co-wrote with a gentleman in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Rick Williams. And it was called Jukebox Cowboy. That was our first one that went to number one. And I wrote another song with him. I can't, it's on a CD. I can't remember. Hold on. Angel in Disguise.
So you are not only a songwriter, a singer, but like us, also trying to go out and promote the country music genre, and more importantly, independent country music. You own a radio station there, and you're on the FM band, and you're also streaming, so folks can tune in and listen to you.
Yes, we're at 89.9 if you're in the Montreal area on FM, and you can stream us from our website, which is 899kic.com. There'll be a listen now button. We play a lot of independent artists. We play a lot of traditional country music. We do touch on the top 40, but that's not my love. And so people listen to my love, I guess, which is traditional, prime, independence. There's a lot of great music. It's all great music. I'm not saying any of it's bad. It's all good.
So to be fair, earlier I said make sure you tune into Rural Strong Radio, but split your time. Make sure you give this guy some love and go listen to some of his stuff too. It's great.
They can do a split screen.
Yeah, there you go.
You on the left ear, me on the right.
Well, I think it's real. We talked about this, before we launched the show this morning. I think it's real important that we come together as a network, and share some syndicated material, some syndicated content, and things like that. And there's been a lot of talk about that in our circle. And so love to talk to you about that. I know Kathy Jewell operates, like I said, a couple of radio stations out of Lubbock. She's got a Clear Channel station there. And then we, I think that's where, I know that's where Billy Bull's Swingin' Country originates from. And that's such an important show. Billy is a purist when it comes to certainly Western swing and traditional country. So content like that, we just need to make sure it gets out to as many people as possible, and it's up to us to do that.
I hear that. I was just talking with Dina Woods, and she's got it where I can download Billy Bull's songs. We're going to start syndicating it. I have quite a few syndicated shows on my station. So Kathy, if you got any to pitch my way, I'm all ears.
Yeah. Kathy's, like I said, coming out with some new music that you got to get your hands on.
Yes.
It's some dynamite stuff. Kurt got her in the studio, and just like she does with all of us, she helped her find a part of her voice she didn't know she had. You know, and she was a great singer to begin with, but boy, you know, she's kind of taking it to the next level with this new group of recordings. So I can't wait for you to hear it and share it with your listeners.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it.
We mentioned Kurt. The one thing we haven't talked about is how you guys met and joined forces.
Well, we met at the NACMA Awards. Kurt was inducted in the same year I was. Indicted. Which one is it? and we talked briefly, but since then, through a mutual acquaintance we got the whole recording thing lined up, and we went in and did the one song. Now I'm going to go and do a full project in a couple of weeks.
When you've recorded at many studios over your career, talk a bit about how the process may have been different or what the experience was like for you there at Clarksville Creative Sound.
Well, you know, it was just a treat. It was to watch that group of gentlemen work together the way they do is none less of saying it was a treat. I mean, I am sitting there watching these guys listening to a song that they've never played before, and they're talking around, joking, telling stories while they're listening to what they're going to be recording. And every now and then they'll take a pencil and do a little mark on their paper, go back to talking. And Kurt will say, okay, you guys ready? Yep. They sit down and you can hear them, they're all noodling. And Kurt says, you ready? Yep. And they're still noodling until that first click of the drum comes in and it was dead air. And then they come in and played it like they played it 1,000 times. And to me, it sounded perfect, but there'll always be one of them in there says, Kurt, you need to go to this section right here. I need to fix this. To them, they're perfectionists is beyond perfection, and they need to have it right because it's their name on that also.
Well, to watch Brian, to watch Kurt manage that whole process is amazing.
You know what? It's like watching Liberace on the piano. This guy is so quick when he's pushing them buttons. It's crazy.
Yeah. That blew me away. You know, when I first recorded with Kurt, the only experience I had was doing things virtually through, recording vocals in my closet of my bedroom and sending them to my producer in California, and then he would do all the mixing. And when I got into Kurt's studio, I was just like, "Whoa, this is unbelievable!" And to watch him, how he can chart out those songs and chart them out effectively, where those guys can pick it up and just run. Oh, yeah. And that's the difference between session players and live band players. Is the session players are creators.
Well, they are, and they have to be. They have to write on demand. You know, I mean, that's how they get the job. But there's few people that are both, and those guys are both in that studio. They are session players and they play live. But in the session, if you cannot write on demand, I mean, you can't have that spot. There's someone else who will do it. You know, get back to Kurt there with his working those buttons. It's just crazy. I can remember back in the old days when he wanted to take out a part, the tape was there with the razor and you sliced it and spliced it together. And man, just watching him, just like he's playing some kind of mean song. He's just going crazy. He's an artist right there.
Yeah, and he's a pretty darn good musician too.
He's not bad. Yeah. And he wears a wig well.
He does. He does. He does.
He's going to get me for that.
That's excellent.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say here, I've got one more queued up here that you had performed here, Borrowed Angel.
Oh, boy. Where would that have been at? Let me think. That video, Purple Hill? We call that the Grand Ole Opry of Canada. It's a place, first Sunday of every month. They put on shows, and it's all traditional country. We need to get Clarksville Creative Sound to do a show in this place, Steve. It's beautiful. It's all wood. I don't know if the cameras of the song will show it. The whole place, it's 2 floors, and it's all wood, and the sound is just immaculate. They also have an outdoor stage there that will do about 5,000 people.
We could do an old-fashioned package show up there, you know what?
Yeah. I've got some people asking me about shows now, some different promoters, even some of the stuff I've did some shows over the summer asking if I can come back with Leona next year. Right. But I said we can put some kind of package together for sure.
Well, I know all of our artists are looking for more and more opportunities to get out there and perform live. You know, I think for me, everything to me leads to the opportunity to get on the stage and share that music live. There's nothing, that's the addictive part of this thing is once you feel the love and the energy from the audience, man, you're hooked, you know.
If you'll come up to Canada and play for that Canadian dollar, you're in it for the love.
I'll do it. I don't care if it devalues because I'm not in it for the money anyway.
No.
Well, earlier I talked about how the steel sounded on the last song we shared with you. Let this one grab you. Boy, this is great.
What do you got for us, Brian? Well, this is an old Mill Street number. It was also done by Mo Pitney, and now it's going to be done by us. It's called Borrowed Angel. Oh, boy. Good one. And this one is for Bonnie Adams. Her birthday, Bonnie Adams. Her fingers feel so different with her hand on mine. Her hair feels like silk on my arms. Her legs tell me so tender she's mine alone. Until we part tonight, then she goes home. Borrowed angel belongs to someone else. Gotta love my borrowed angel. I just can't help myself. That ring upon her finger, it don't belong to me. But she loves me, and I know she'll save some more time for me. Steve Smith, play the whole darn thing. Let's make some noise for one of the finer steel guitar players this side of the Mississippi River, Mr. Steve Smith.
That's just great. And I got to ask you about something. A lot of guys get up there with an acoustic guitar or a Telecaster, and you're up there with a bass.
Well, I've been known to be up with a bass or a guitar with that particular group there. I'm their staff bass player. Like I said, we do that once a month, the first Sunday of every month. That steel guitar player you mentioned, that's
Phenomenal.
He's an icon. He was a staff player for Tommy Hunter for 30 some odd years. He toured with Ronnie Prophet. Back in the day when Merle was first started, nobody knew who Merle was. That they approached him and they said, there's a gentleman, Merle Haggard, wants you to play steel for him. And he said, who's Merle Haggard? that's how old Steve is. So we tease him about that quite a bit, but he's been around forever, and he's a phenomenal player.
And that bass player wasn't too bad either.
He was all
Yeah,
right.
he's not bad. You know, he needs a haircut, but at least he had it tied back that day.
He's one of those mohawks, I think.
Yeah, I think that might be the trick.
You know, and that song, that's one of my favorite country songs. I remember hearing that when I was a teenager in high school, and just that song grabbing me. And what I love, and you delivered it the same way Mel Street did, where you say that rang on her finger.
Yeah. Well, I guess I must have spent too much time in the South. It just kind of sticks with you.
That's one of the ultimate cheating songs, you know.
Is that how they talk in the southern provinces of Canada?
Yes, sir.
No, say,
hey, y'all, eh?
They say that, that ring on her finger, eh?
Eh? That's even we spell the country like that. Canada.
Well, there must be something in the water in Canada, because we've got quite a few talented artists. You know, of course, we got our own Jaden Riley, the young dynamite, package of dynamite, I should say. That's that we're swaying her more into the country. You know, she just did some recordings that we're excited to get out there as well, and she's got a huge fan base. Kurt and I were looking at her just real quick. At her numbers, just aggregating her social media numbers, just her YouTube views top over 100 million views. It's crazy.
Wow. She's got a heck of a voice. And the water that's up here is also down there, because there's no shortage of talent below south of the border here.
Yeah. Well, we seem to have tapped into a lot of that right there in Clarksville through our portal there at Clarksville Creative Sound, and we're just tickled to death about that. I'm just honored to be around you guys, you know. And
well, I'm proud to be part of the Clarksville Creative Sound.
you keep waving that flag, baby.
Yes, sir.
That's
I need
right.
to get me one of them hats next.
Yeah, well, I'll send you one.
All right. Looking forward to that.
Just give me your address. Text me your address, and I'll get it.
Well,
to you.
send it on to Kurt. I'm going to be there in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm back in the middle of October. So.
We'll fix you up with a care package.
All right.
Well, you mentioned the stuff you're working on with Leona. What else do you have on the horizon?
We have. I'll be doing a whole CD.
Nice.
We're going to be doing a whole project. Some stuff that I've co-written, some stuff I've got from some friends of mine that I've written, and a few covers. Some of my favorites.
Well, we can't wait to hear all that.
I can't wait to get working on it. I mean, I just want to watch that man pushing them buttons again.
What's the date you're going to be in the studio?
Well, I'm going to be there. The boys are in on Friday the 13th to lay down the track. So I'll be in a few days beforehand, just going over some of the stuff with Kurt.
Yeah.
You in the Liberace of Clarksville.
Yes, sir. I think we just gave him a new label.
Yeah, thanks for that.
That's what Kurt gets for not being here to defend himself.
That's
right.
it, huh?
I couldn't let that one go. You know that.
Oh, he's going to get me for that.
Oh, I love it.
Kurt's in Oklahoma visiting his daughter. I think he dropped in to surprise her.
Yeah, it was her birthday, I believe.
Yeah, he and Braden were on the road when I talked to him a couple of days ago, and then I think his other son, Josh, I think was going as well, and so they were gonna drop a good big surprise on his daughter. So that's great. I just love how tight that whole family is. I mean, when you hear Kurt talking to them, and they talk every day. He talks to every one of his kids. Of course, he's got Braden here under his wing there, but he talks to every one of his kids. They call him every day, and they talk, and it's just a really cool the relationship he's got with his kids. He's done a great job raising those kids.
He has, and he's got a bunch of us other kids he's trying to raise. He's a busy man.
Yeah, and I tell you what, that permeates into the way he manages these young artists. Like, I mean, he's had Jaden since she was what, 7?
Right. Yeah.
Jasmine, same way, Jasmine McDonald. He's been great at helping shaping them. And he told me, he goes, when these kids get in the studio, you can't, sometimes the parents want them to just push and record. And he said, sometimes I have to be a parent of the parents and tell the parents, hey, give these kids a little break, let them go out and play. Or
right.
Let's go take them and drop them, get them some ice cream. Let them be kids for heaven's sake.
Let them be kids. That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. He's got the ability to do that, to work both sides of the fence, the business side and the sub-parent side, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Let them be what they are.
Yeah, he's a great, one of the best, artist development people out there, I'm sure. So.
And truth be known, he's probably sending the kids out to play because he's got another song idea in his head and he's writing it down.
Yeah, he's a songwriting machine, I'll tell you.
No doubt.
Well, file it away in your memory banks. Don't let him off the hook for him to go take you out for ice cream while you're there. Then
that's it, huh? Daddy.
Yeah, you're never too old for that.
Or is it daddy or mommy? I don't know after seeing that picture.
I don't know what you're talking about. On that note, well, I tell you what, it's been a pleasure to get to learn more about you, Brian, and spend some time and listen to some of this phenomenal music. And I can't wait to hear what comes next.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Brett. And hope I do you proud, and hope you love what we do. Because I love what I do.
Are you going to be at the Josie Awards?
What is the date of that?
Good question. I think it's 23rd, 24th. When is that?
You put us on the spot here. Let's find out here. I'm sure somebody will chime in online here. Of course, I'm not. October 22nd is when it is.
October 22nd. Oh, okay. I could be.
Well, I think I'm going to be. We're going to be at the CMA. Brent and I are both be at the CMA of Texas Awards down in Houston. Brent's going to be. You're going to MC that, aren't you, Brent?
That's the rumor.
Yeah, and then I think you're picking up an award, maybe too. I don't know.
Yes.
And yours truly is getting an award. So I'm flattered and honored for that. And then straight from there, pretty much straight to Nashville. We've got just about every artist, a whole bunch of slew of artists on our label up for awards. And so we're excited about that. And then I'm going to stick around after that in Clarksville and finish up vocals on a project I've been working on for quite a while. But maybe our paths will cross somewhere.
Well, that'd be great. I'd look forward to that.
Great.
Gonna be a busy few weeks coming up here. So I hope everybody get plugged in here. If you're not already, to the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group, the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group, and the Rural Strong Media Facebook page, because we're going to be sharing a lot about everything we've got going on here over the next few weeks here. And it's a whole lot. Steve, what else is going on with Clarksville Creative Sound?
Well, let's see. We're excited about our relationship with American Country Network, Tommy Snyder and those guys, and that thing. They had a kind of a soft open house type thing out at the headquarters. Which, Brian, they bought the old Fontenelle estate that Barbara Mandrell had, and so that's going to be an amazing deal. Eventually, it's going to be a destination. They're going to actually put hotel rooms in there and have accommodations, and so there's all kinds of neat opportunities for live entertainment out there that we can tap into, and so we're real excited to be a part of that and helping those guys get that off the ground, and working with Tommy and his group. These guys are some of the thought leaders in music that he's assembled. So it's a dream team to get this network off the ground. So we have every reason to believe it's going to be a major success, and they're putting a big emphasis on traditional country and independent artists, which we're thrilled about. So that continues, and then we're gearing up for the birthplace of Western Swing Festival in November, which is rapidly approaching. Which Brent, you'll be one of the MCs for that as well.
Absolutely.
And so we'll be my A-list band is going to take the stage on the 5:30 p.m. on the 9th, which is a Thursday, and we play for 2.5 hours straight. I was talking to Shane McCauley, my band leader, and we were putting the set list together. And he said, "Now, when are we going to get a break?" And I said, "Man, these Western Swing Festivals, you don't break."
You get a break on Friday.
So you visit the men's room or the ladies' room before, and it was funny. The great little story. The late great Terry Bayless, who was playing piano for us on my CD release party, we were playing nonstop for like 3.5 hours. At one point, I'm sitting off stage, and Jasmine McDonald's out there singing, and Terry kind of whispers over to me while he's playing, because I'm sitting right off stage behind him. He said, "I got to go to the bathroom." And I'm like, "Well, Terry, I don't know what to tell you." And he keeps playing. After a while, "I really got to go to the bathroom." And he keeps playing. Finally, after about another minute, he goes, "Steve," I go, "What?" He goes, "I don't got to go to the bathroom no more."
Oh,
and of course, he was kidding, because the first thing I do is look down, see if his pants are wet.
yes.
But anyway,
soggy boot, huh?
So we're gearing up for that, and then and I'm excited for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is we're going to unveil that new sound system that we put in at National Hall. Beautiful state-of-the-art sound system and stage lighting system, and so that's going to be kind of the unveiling of that, and then that's going to provide a whole different experience there in National Hall, because that sound system was specifically designed for that room.
Wow.
With Bill Johnson, who's a great sound engineer, and he'll be working the sound boards, and then that'll take us into the 2024, where we'll start doing a regular series of concerts there and bringing people in from Clarksville Creative Sound. Which, Brian, I definitely want you to make time and get down to Fort Worth and be a big part of that. We're going to do all kinds of theme nights, and who knows what we might get into. We've even got a band called Latin Express. They do some really cool kind of Tejano. We might even do a fusion night. Who knows? But but it's going to be fun, and we're definitely going to bring country music to a big way, to a big stage there in Fort Worth. So we're excited about that. And then, all the things going on at Clarksville Creative Sound, there's landmark recordings being done and finished from Kathy Jewell, Evie May, Mackenzie McKetty just went in the studio and recorded a bunch more songs, and I got to hear some rough mixes on those, and those are, as you can expect, dynamite. Of course, Brian and Leona are going back in to do their project, and that's going to be, I'm sure, just fantastic. So lots to look forward to. The key is, Kurt and I've talked about it, is strategically, getting these songs released where they're not stepping on each other.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah,
don't want to compete against your own.
So no shortage of material coming out of Clarksville Creative Sound, and then beyond those boundaries, our affiliation with CMA of Texas, a lot of great artists affiliated with that we'll tap into as well. So it's a growing world and sphere of influence that we find ourselves in, and we're just thrilled to death to kind of be in the epicenter of all that and leading the charge of this indie revolution.
Absolutely. So again, make sure you are plugged in here to the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group, the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group, and the Rural Strong Media Facebook page, so you don't miss any of that action, because there is a lot of new music to come out. Make sure also you're checking out i2irecords.com. Dina Wood is putting together something fabulous there, along with Suzanne Abbey, that they are distributing a lot of that music downloadable right to the public here, so you can go find a lot of those singles, throw them a couple bucks, and get it on your playlist here. So make sure you go do that. Also, I want to remind you to check into Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com, or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. We're playing a lot of that music there, as well as some great agriculture programming. And again, as we tell you every week, a couple great programs on Sunday, beginning at 9 a.m. Central. It's Sunday's Kind of Country with Robbie Lynn. He's coming straight out of Vidor, Texas, with almost 3 hours of great traditional, inspirational country music. We've got some independent artists. You get some George Jones, some Johnny Cash, some Buck Owens. Man, just a lot of really great stuff to uplift your soul here as you get into the week. Then I come in at about 12:45-ish p.m. Eastern time, 11:45 Central, with 15 minutes of a little inspirational short set. I always pick out some gems to get you up to the top of the hour when we head on out to Lubbock, Texas, to join our good friend Billy Bowles for Billy Bowles Swinging Country. And you know what he's about, 2 hours of the greatest traditional country and Western swing music. And a great way to get your week started with those two programs. Billy comes back again Tuesdays at 8-7 Central p.m. That is, to have the final replay of that show for the week. So if you miss it on Sundays, you can always catch it on Tuesday evenings. And I always love listening to Billy, not only for the great music, but I learn a lot when I listen to that. So hope you check that out. Again, ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. And one more time, Brian, if folks want to listen to your station, where can they access it?
www.899kic.com is our webpage. And on there, there's a listen now button. Press the play button and they're on.
So make sure you go and spend some time with Brian and listen to what he has and support those great artists. Well, I tell you what, if you missed any portion of the show, it automatically archives on social media. If for some reason Facebook isn't playing nice and the music is muted, you can also go to the Rural Strong Media Facebook, or excuse me, the YouTube channel and watch it in its entirety. They are actually playing the music and not muting it. So it's hard to say what you're going to get out of Facebook, but please go check out the replay of this and share it with your friends so we can continue to grow this. Well, I tell you what, it's time for us to get out of here so Steve can enjoy more of the cool New Mexico air. Steve, it's been fun, man. Can't wait for another one next week.
Me too. No, Brian, thank you so much for your time and coming on board. And we're just thrilled about what the future holds for all of us. And look, maybe we'll see you in Nashville sometime or Clarksville in October. Maybe our paths will cross. If not, we'll definitely get you down to Fort Worth, and we'll light it up down there at National Hall. And if you can help get us up to Canada and do a cool package show type thing or whatever, that would be great too. We want to get this music out to as many people as possible. We also want to remind everybody to join. I think you might have already said this, but join all the related pages, Kurt Riles Road Stories, which we're going to get one of those off here pretty soon. And then even the Fort Worth Memories page, all things around Fort Worth. And of course, Fort Worth, a lot of things going on in Fort Worth that affect the rest of the world, but Larry O'Neill does a great job, and he's got hundreds of thousands of viewers on that deal. So we're just tickled to death to be associated with that, to give our platform more leverage. So appreciate everybody for tuning in, and especially those of y'all that chimed in. Peggy York is having a conversation with herself on here, I see. But no, we appreciate Peggy. She's one of our faithful. Robert Revere is on watching as well, so I didn't mention him earlier. Anyway, I'm sure that there's a lot more people that I'm missing. So thanks everybody for chiming in on the live feed, because we definitely want to engage with you as we do these shows, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. So Brian, thank you again, buddy, and can't wait to hear your new stuff coming out.
Thank you. Looking forward. So much going on. Looking forward to being involved with as much as I can. And if I could one last time.
Thank you.
Fly the colors.
There it is. Handmade in Tennessee. There you go.
Absolutely.
Brent?
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we'll have you back on here again once we get the new music out, and we'll go a little deeper.
Sounds good, buddy.
I hope everybody else will come back again next Friday, 10 a.m. Central, for another Fort Worth Musical Moments. So for Steve Markwart and our special guest, Brian Moon, it's Brent Adams. Keep riding tall in the saddle. Make it a great week, and we'll see you again next week again, everybody. Have a good weekend. You've been watching Fort Worth Musical Moments, a production of Rural Strong Media and Clarksville Creative Sound, copyright 2023. Please join the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group and join us each Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we introduce you to another key figure in Fort Worth's musical heritage.